ਵੈਲਕਮ ਟੂ ਦਿਸ ਐਪੀਸੋਡ ਆਫ ਲੈਟਸ ਟਾਕ। ਅੱਜ ਦੇ ਸੈਗਮੈਂਟ ਵਿੱਚ ਅਸੀਂ ਗੱਲਬਾਤ ਕਰਾਂਗੇ ਨਸੀਮਾ ਨਸ਼ਤੋਹ ਨਾਲ, ਜਿਹੜੇ ਕਿ ਸਾਡੇ ਮਹਿਮਾਨ ਹਨ, ਜਿਹੜੇ ਕਿ ਇੱਕ ਸੋਸ਼ਲ ਐਕਟਿਵਿਸਟ ਅਤੇ ਕਮਿਊਨਿਟੀ ਐਕਟਿਵਿਸਟ ਹਨ। ਇਹਨਾਂ ਵੱਲੋਂ ਸਰੀ ਵਿੱਚ ਵੀ ਹਿਊਮਨ ਰਾਈਟਸ ਦੇ ਸੰਬੰਧ ਵਿੱਚ ਇੱਕ ਐਡਵੋਕੇਸੀ ਅਤੇ ਟੋਲਰੈਂਸ ਗਰੁੱਪ ਜੋ ਹੈ ਕਾਇਮ ਕੀਤਾ ਜਾ ਰਿਹਾ ਹੈ। ਹਿਊਮਨ ਰਾਈਟਸ ਦੀ ਕੀ ਮਹੱਤਤਾ ਹੈ, ਕਿਉਂ ਇਸ ਬਾਰੇ ਲੋਕਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਪਤਾ ਹੋਣਾ ਚਾਹੀਦਾ ਹੈ, ਆਓ ਇਸ ਬਾਰੇ ਗੱਲਬਾਤ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਨਸੀਮਾ ਨਸ਼ਤੋਹ ਨਾਲ। ਵੈਲਕਮ ਟੂ ਦ ਪ੍ਰੋਗਰਾਮ।
Thank you for having me.
Welcome. So a little bit about yourself. When did you come to Canada and why do you think that human rights is an issue which needs to be talked about?
I came to Canada May 30th, 1984 as a refugee.
Okay.
We had to escape through the mountain and came to India and came here as a refugee.
Right.
Human rights are very important to me because human rights are inherent to all human beings,
Right.
regardless of their origins, values, sexual orientations, and they are fundamental rights and freedoms that belong to all of us.
Right.
And we have a responsibility to protect these rights, to defend these rights, and to stand up for these rights.
You also belong to Amnesty International also.
Yes, I do, yeah.
Right.
Really.
So we know, a lot of people know about Amnesty International, that it talks about human rights.
Yes.
But why in a developed country like Canada do you feel that there needs to be branches like you're establishing in Surrey also, in Coquitlam where you are from,
Yes.
where you have already established? So why do you think there is a need in these places also to have these kind of organizations?
Because even in Canada, human rights, women's rights are violated. If you remember a few years ago, a man in Toronto killed three daughters based on the fact that they had boyfriends or
Right.
they were dressed differently. That's why education and awareness is very important.
Right. So how do you plan to spread this education and awareness, and what are you trying to do for that?
Formation of global community is very important to defend human rights everywhere.
Right.
And educate people that human rights are violated in Syria, Afghanistan, Iran, because there are prisoners that they are denied fair trial.
Right.
The only crime they committed is that they speak out against the government.
Right.
And they are tortured and they don't have fair trial. For example, last weekend we wrote greeting cards to prisoners of wars in Iran, in Afghanistan and Malaysia.
Right.
And imagine receiving a greeting card in a lonely jail cell is very important for a prisoner. And letting him know that we care about them and they have our support.
So these kind of events are held, but on the whole, when we talk about the common public, how do you try to create awareness for them? How do you try to involve them?
How can I involve them? Letting them know that human rights belong to all of us.
Right.
And we have responsibility to defend these human rights. When human rights are not well known by people, abuses such as discrimination,
Right.
Rape, child abuse, forced labor can rise.
Right.
That's why public needs to get involved
Right.
and take an action against it.
Why do you, Nasima, you personally feel that in a developed country like Canada, when we talk about that women are being suppressed or domestic violence is on the rise or the rights of people are not being recognized, why do you think that mentality is not changing? And still, while we speak about these things on International Human Rights Day or some other occasions, but on the whole, what do you think over the years, is the society's mentality changing, or the men's mentality is still the same?
It's lack of education. We talk about a topic and then we became complacent.
Right.
We don't talk about it for a while. If we continuously talk about it and educate people, their mentality will change.
Right.
Because you're right, men's mentality are not changing based on the fact that mental illness is on the rise. We have to take a stand against that.
How do you think that the communities need to be involved, and how can organizations like you are setting up in Surrey or Coquitlam and other places, how can they play a role in, again involving the common public into these kind of meetings?
Explaining and educating them about violation of human rights,
Right.
about how the consequences is. For example, as I said, when we don't talk about human rights, and when people are they take it for granted, and when they don't know about the rights that belongs to them,
Right.
and they are not able to defend them. So the more we talk about human rights, the more we talk about violation of human rights, they are more aware, and once they are aware, they can defend and they get involved to the community.
Nasima, what we are seeing in the world today, it's becoming a dangerous place. And lots of places, especially in the Mid East or even other places also, the rise of terrorism wherever globally is becoming a threat, and that is suppressing the human rights of virtually everyone. There are some people who raise their voice through violence, but every common person has to face that. What do you feel about that?
So that's why we have to stand up and speak up against it, because the world is becoming a dangerous place
Right.
for our children, for women, for the families, because if the family is broken, mental illness in the rise, but we have to prevent this. The only way that we could prevent this by getting involved in community groups like this,
Right.
Be active, advocating for people that they are not able to advocate for themselves, and that's what we can prevent things like that.
So over the years, what are the statistics like people who are coming forward and getting involved with organizations like Amnesty or World Watch, or like local level also, like you have started? What are you seeing? Are the people coming forward, or people are still resisting to come forward? And how are you trying to involve them? How are you trying to raise their morale that you should be a part of these movements?
Actually, people are coming forward. People are doing a lot of advocacy work. You could see that lots of women are involving in politics.
Right.
This is a plus sign that we see. Why? Because the more a group are there, community resources are there,
Right.
so they are more aware.
Another thing what we find is that though we call Canada as a multicultural country where people from all over the world come and
Yes.
stay over here, but generally people are confined to their own community groups only. We do not mix with each other. There are lots of still misunderstandings existing between different cultures, different people. So do you think that organizations like yours can play a role in disseminating information and getting the people together?
Yes, bringing people together is very important. That's why we form this kind of organization, this kind of community groups,
Right.
that people come together from different cultures. We don't say that they don't keep their own culture, because their own culture is their identity.
Right.
They should practice their own culture, and they should be open to other cultures as well.
So in the past, have you organized some events like these kind where you are involving the people?
Yes, I did. In the past years that I organized events like Stand Up, Speak Out Against
Right.
Bullying. And also on New Year's Eve, I had an event that people came together,
Right. So now for the Surrey Interfaith Advocacy and Tolerance Group,
Yes.
or any other city where people are living, if they want to be a part of your group, how can they become a part of it?
They go to internet and to the meetup group and click there and become a part of it, or phone me 604-377-0756.
Okay.
And some people signed up from Maple Ridge, from Mission, from Abbotsford.
Right.
They wanted to be part of it.
Wonderful.
Because it's for a good cause.
Absolutely.
We have to defend our rights.
Right. And towards the end, any message which you would like to give to our viewers today?
The message that I want to give to them is, please get involved to community groups like this and defend your rights. When you see that a human right is violated, take a stand against it, and don't be afraid to talk.
Right.
This is the only way that we could bring people together,
Right.
and to create a world that everybody is happy.
It was a pleasure talking to you. Thank you and best wishes.
Thanks.
Thank you. ਸੋ ਅੱਜ ਜੋ ਅਸੀਂ ਗੱਲਬਾਤ ਕੀਤੀ ਉਸ ਵਿੱਚ ਨਸੀਮਾ ਨਸ਼ਤੋ ਨੇ ਇਹ ਦੱਸਿਆ ਹੈਗਾ ਕਿ ਹਿਊਮਨ ਰਾਈਟਸ ਦੀ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਮੂਵਮੈਂਟ ਹੈਗੀ ਹੈ ਉਸ ਦਾ ਹਿੱਸਾ ਬਣਨਾ ਬਹੁਤ ਜ਼ਰੂਰੀ ਹੈ, ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਦੁਨੀਆ ਭਰ ਵਿੱਚ ਜੋ ਹਾਲਾਤ ਬਣ ਰਹੇ ਨੇ, ਹਰ ਇੱਕ ਮਨੁੱਖ ਨੂੰ ਅਧਿਕਾਰ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਉਹ ਆਪਣੇ ਜਮਹੂਰੀ ਹੱਕਾਂ ਦੀ ਗੱਲ ਕਰ ਸਕੇ, ਲੇਕਿਨ ਜਦੋਂ ਇਹ ਜਮਹੂਰੀ ਹੱਕ ਦਬਾਏ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਨੇ ਤਾਂ ਲੋਕ ਹੀ ਜੋ ਹਨ ਉਸ ਵਿੱਚ ਚੇਂਜ ਲਿਆ ਸਕਦੇ ਨੇ ਜੇਕਰ ਉਹ ਮੂਵਮੈਂਟ ਦਾ ਹਿੱਸਾ ਬਣਨ। ਸੋ ਸਰੀ ਵਿੱਚ ਵੀ ਇਹ ਟੋਲਰੈਂਸ ਗਰੁੱਪ ਜੋ ਹੈ ਅਤੇ ਇੰਟਰਫੇਥ ਹਾਰਮਨੀ ਗਰੁੱਪ, ਹਿਊਮਨ ਰਾਈਟਸ ਗਰੁੱਪ ਜੋ ਹੈ ਇਸ ਨੂੰ ਕਾਇਮ ਕੀਤਾ ਜਾ ਰਿਹਾ ਹੈ, ਜਿਸ ਦਾ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਹਿੱਸਾ ਬਣ ਸਕਦੇ ਹੋ। ਕੋਈ ਵੀ ਜਾਣਕਾਰੀ ਲੈਣੀ ਹੋਏ ਤਾਂ ਸਕਰੀਨ ਤੇ ਦਿੱਤੇ ਨੰਬਰ ਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਫੋਨ ਕਰਕੇ ਨਸੀਮਾ ਨਸਤੋਹ ਨਾਲ ਗੱਲਬਾਤ ਕਰ ਸਕਦੇ ਹੋ।